Hi friends, welcome back to Get Your Play Online. My name is Taylor and I'm so excited to be here with you guys today to do some more fun arts and crafts. So we are going to be making scratch art today, and I absolutely love this activity. I think that this is probably my favorite craft that I've done with you guys so far. So I'm really excited to share it with you and get the chance to do it with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start by pulling out my supplies. The first thing we are going to need is paper, of course. So we have our paper. We need crayons. So I have my box of crayons. Of course, I'm not going to use all 120, but it is a pretty big box, and I have a lot of cool colors in there. You're going to need, if you don't have crayons, then oil pastels will work as well. And as far as paper goes, I am going to be using watercolor paper. I don't have cardstock paper, but watercolor paper is a really good alternative, and I think that it works just as well as the heavy cardstock. So I think that this is a really awesome alternative if you don't have the cardstock paper. You are going to need a black paint, ideally acrylic paint, but tempera paint will work as well. However, I don't have black paint, so I'm going to be using a navy blue color. And the navy blue actually looks really cool and it works really well. You're going to need a cup, a paintbrush, and a spoon for this. So make sure you have those handy because we are going to be using these a lot. You're also going to need dish soap. I have Dawn right here. It smells amazing and it does an even better job. So I am going to be using that. And then for the very end, when we start our scratching, I'm going to be using chopsticks. If you have maybe a pencil, chopsticks, a skewer, like any of those things will work. But I liked using the chopsticks, and I find that these work really well as well. So this is what I'm going to be using. So now that we have all of our supplies, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to push the camera back a little bit, and I'm going to pull my stuff out. So let me lower the camera. Okay. So first things first, we're going to need to obviously color all of the white page that you see before we can start adding paint. So I'm going to be using, I have these little cool neon looking crayons that I'm going to be coloring with. If you have different crayons, that's perfectly fine as well. But I'm going to be using these. And if you don't want to color in the same pattern that I'm coloring, that's perfectly okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just literally coloring, coloring your page. So the way that I like to do it is I like to kind of go and divide my page up. And I did mine by doing diagonal lines. Some people like to actually color pictures on their white pages, but I don't really want to color a white picture just because we're going to cover the whatever we do color and paint, and I want to be able to just focus more of the detailed stuff on our scratching part. So I like to divide mine up by drawing long diagonal lines. You want to make sure that you do get a lot of colors on your page. Just because whenever you go to scratch, it's going to look even cooler if you have a lot more colors on your page. So whenever you're scratching, you reveal more than just one color. I'm going to make this space a little bit wider. And of course, I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm just dividing my page up just so that I can get an idea of what section of my page is going to be what color. So I'm going to keep dividing. I want to make my blue space a little bit wider, so I'm going to make that a little bit wider. And then I'm going to get some pinks and purples in there, and we'll be all set. So I'm going to use my purple next. This one, and then my last pink is going to be here. So I'm going to start by coloring in the space. The bottom space is what I like to start with, and I'm going to start by coloring this pink color. So I'm going to just color away, and you guys feel free to join in. And as I finish coloring, I'm just going to put my crayons away, because once you're done coloring with whatever crayon, you won't need to use it anymore. So I kind of like to start by coloring around the edges, just because I find that the edges, I don't want to like leave them white, and I want to make sure that I can easily color in my blank space. So whenever I start with the edges first, I can just make sure that I get plenty of color on the edges, and then I can just kind of scribble in on the inside. Just coloring those edges of my paper. And then I just scribble in. And if you like don't color it perfectly, there is no perfect way to color this, so long as you get color all over the page. I'm obviously not really doing a good job of staying in between the lines, but that's okay, because you'll still be able to reveal really cool colors whenever we go to scratch. Just coloring in all those white spaces. We're about halfway done with the coloring part. So you guys are doing a great job. And remember, if you don't have oil pastels, crayons work. If you don't have crayons, oil pastels work. And I am, for those who are just tuning in, I am using watercolor paper. I don't have heavy cardstock paper, but the watercolor paper works just as well, in my opinion. So if you don't have heavy cardstock, then watercolor paper works as well. As long as you don't have like a loose, thin, flimsy piece of paper like printer paper or construction paper, because those sheets of paper are far too flimsy for this activity, and you would not be able to get any good results out of that. You guys are doing a great job. Really getting those edges well. And this yellow is going to be hard to see just because it is such a light color, but I promise you it's there. Whenever I'm done, I will hold it up to the camera just so you guys can see that yellow that I have. But I have a feeling that whenever I color in the orange section, it'll probably make that yellow section pop a little bit better. So let's see. So this is where we are at so far. Just a little check-in. Still going strong with the coloring. So I have 1, 2, 3 more sections left to color. I know it's probably a little bit hard for you guys to see just because the crayons are a little bit lighter. But wait, there we go. So we have 3 more sections to color. And remember, if you don't want to color in the same pattern that I'm coloring, that is perfectly okay. There is no right or wrong way to go about this coloring as long as you get color all over the page. But you just want to make sure, like I said, and I keep emphasizing, you get color everywhere. You don't want to leave any white spaces. So just make sure that you keep that in mind as you are doing your coloring. Two more sections. You guys are doing great. And at the end, I'm going to post pictures of the final product. And I'm going to also post all this up on our Pinterest account so that you're able to kind of see a little bit more of the step-by-step breakdown. But I'm really excited for the final outcome, and I can't wait for you guys to see how it works, because it is a really cool activity. And this is the last section. Okay. Final section, moment of truth. Almost time for the big reveal of our pretty colors. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to put my crayons away because we are now done with our crayons. So you can just set those to the side because we're not going to use them anymore. And let me show you where we are at right now. We just colored in, it is really light. We just colored in our page My colors are a little bit lighter, so they're a little bit harder to see on my camera, but I promise you they're there. I'll take pictures and show you, and I'll post this up on our Pinterest. But making sure that you got color all over the entire page. And now that I have this done, I'm going to just rip this sheet out of my little watercolor notebook. And I'm going to set my paper to the side because I'm now done with that. So we have our sheet of paper here. So what you're going to want to do at this point is go ahead and pull out some more supplies. This is the time when we're going to use our cup. We're about to use our cup, our spoon, our paintbrush, our paint, and our dish soap. So go ahead and pull those things out right quick. Okay, so what we're going to do for this is we're going to measure out, and whenever I first read this, like whenever, or not just read this, but like in general, whenever I read 1 part to 2 parts, whenever I hear people talk about parts, I'm like, what does that mean? But I know now that if you have 1 part of something, that means whatever you use, whether it's 1 spoon, 1 cup, one bowl, whatever, if you use 1 part of that, then you're going to use the same amount for the other, whatever else you're mixing in. So it might be 1 part of soap to 2 parts of paint, and that means you would use whatever measurement, let's say a cup, 1 cup of soap for 2 cups of paint. And I learned that that's what parts mean, but we're going to do equal parts here. And what that means is we're going to use the same amount of dish soap as we are paint. So I want to use, ideally, whenever I was doing this, I figured out that about 3 to 4 spoonfuls of paint will get it. So, and that creates an ample amount of paint substance to be able to spread all over our picture, our little scratch art picture. So I'm going to do, here's 1 spoonful of paint. Here's 2 spoonfuls of paint. And 3 spoonfuls. If you feel like you need 4, then go ahead and do 4, but I only needed 3 whenever I was practicing this. I didn't apply a super duper thick layer, a super duper thick coat of paint to my page, but if you want to apply a thicker layer, then you might want to add another spoonful. But now that we did 3 spoonfuls of paint, which is our we did 3 spoonfuls of this, we're now going to do 3 spoonfuls of this because we're doing equal parts. So we want to have the same amount of both in our mixture. So that's 1 spoonful of dish soap, 2 spoonfuls of dish soap, and 3 spoonfuls. So we now have equal parts in our mixture. And we're just going to take our spoon, and my paintbrush is already in here, so I'm just going to take both and just mix that up. Just mix it all up. And you want to make sure when you're doing this as well that no bubbles form. You don't want any bubbles to form. You just want to, you don't want to have like a sudsy mixture like you're about to wash dishes in this. We are just going to mix it until it's all blended up. And I do have a couple bubbles in mine. And so I'm gonna just stir it a little bit more, a little bit slower, because we don't want to wash dishes in our paint mixture. So let's get to stirring. And it smells amazing, you guys. I love the smell of Dawn dish soap. So we are all set here. So now I'm going to take my spoon and I'm going to spoon it out onto my page. So I'm going to lower the camera a little bit more, and I want you to see as I take a spoonful out, I'm going to just sprinkle or just drizzle the paint mixture all over my page. Just smearing that out. And then we're going to take our paintbrush and we're going to spread it out on our page. Ideally, you would be using a foam paintbrush, but I don't have a foam paintbrush, and so I'm using a paintbrush like this. It's just a thicker regular paintbrush. You don't want like one of those skinny thin ones that you get in like the paint palettes at Walmart or anything, because those would be way too thin for this, and it would take an eternity to be able to spread all this out. But I'm using this kind of paintbrush, and it works just as well as the foam ones. So just another little alternative there. We have lots of options today for this activity, which I like. I like being able to have options because whenever whenever we're trying to do art activities, not everyone has the exact same materials, and so it's really nice and convenient to be able to use um, other things that work just as well. So I'm glad I'm able to provide you guys with those options. So I'm glad I'm doing this on the island in my kitchen as well, because it does make a mess, and luckily it is easy for me to clean up off of this countertop, so I'm glad for that. Alright, I'm going to take another spoonful of my little paint mixture and drizzle it onto my page. And the other thing with this is whenever you're done painting, you do have to let it dry, and it does take a little while to dry. So, just be mindful of that it does take a while to dry, and to be patient with your project. But once it's dry, it's so much fun to be able to, you know, not paint, scratch our little painting slash drawing slash coloring. Okay. Let's keep going. So you're probably wondering, how do we know whenever we are done covering our picture in paint? You know you're done whenever you no longer see any crayon coloring spaces, whenever it's only covered in this paint mixture. So you're even though on the camera it does look like this thing is completely covered. However, as I smear the paint around, spaces do start to open up where I can see the crayon. And so I'm just going back over and making sure that I have all those spaces covered up. But I'm almost done. Okay, I think that is good. I'm not going to touch this just to pick it up, but you guys can see what it looks like. It is wet, so I'm going to leave it right here in this spot to dry until it is all done drying. So now we're going to start with the scratching. And for this part, I'm just going to slide over a little bit. And I did do this activity, I did my little example last night. Oh, hi Mom. My mom's watching. She said hi. But I did do this activity last night, and so I already have a dry example right here. If you could feel this right now, you would be able to feel that it does feel a little bit thick, and it's very smooth. It's I can feel that thicker layer of paint. It's a very smooth touch whenever you rub your hands down it, and it smells super clean and amazing. But so this is what it's going to look like dry. So you know it's dry whenever you can obviously touch it and no paint comes off, but don't be a little bit frightened whenever you touch it and you do feel that softness, because for me, the first time I touched it, it was so soft that I thought that it was still a little bit wet, but it wasn't. It's just that that's how it feels once it dries. So we're going to start scratching something. Whenever I think of this little activity, I remember buying these little scratch art things in the store whenever I was a kid. Well, my mom buying them for me whenever I was a kid. And I always like to scratch this little scene like it was like a cute little spring day. So let's do something like that together. So how I start is I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to do some grass. And so I'm just going to take my chopsticks and I'm going to scratch these little squiggly lines, like straight up and down, squiggly, however you want to do it, all the way down the page. And it's super cool because I can see all these different colors and they look so awesome, and it makes me super happy. I love it. But remember, you won't be able to do this part with me until your page is dry. So whenever your picture is all dry, you'll be able to come back, watch this live video. Well, it won't be live whenever you come back and watch it, but you can watch this video. It'll still be on this Get Your Play Online Facebook page, and it'll also be posted on our YouTube account. Our Get Your Play Online YouTube channel. So you'll be able to come back and join in the fun a little bit more once your picture is all dry on either of these platforms, YouTube or Facebook. And actually I will be posting this on Pinterest as well, so you'll be able to check out how to do this through our Pinterest account at Get Your Play Online. So make sure you come back and scratch something cool with me, or if you have something else in mind that you'd like to scratch, it by no means has to be exactly what I'm doing, but I would love to see whatever you guys create with this. So please send us your pictures here at Get Your Play Online, because we would love to see your cool creations. But I'm almost done with this part. Beautiful. So I have, this is going to be like my little grass at the bottom right here. You can see those colors and it's really, really pretty. And at the end, I'll definitely post a picture so that you guys can see what it looks like. So I'm going to draw a tree now. And I think I'm going to draw a tree right here. And the way I do that is by drawing a long rectangle up to the sky. And I start with the one side of the rectangle, the other side of the rectangle, and then I'm not going to close the rectangle at the top. Instead, I'm going to do little swirlies going all the way around for my tree. And then I'm just going to swirl on the inside just to show you guys some more of this cool color that is coming through whenever I scratch my page. And it's super cool and I love it so much. So, as you can also tell from whenever I'm scratching, even though I didn't use the black paint, this navy blue still works really well. I have not tried doing this with a brighter color like yellow or orange or anything like that, but based off of this navy blue, that tells me that the dark color paints do work. So maybe a darker green, this navy blue, if you have black, that'll work, a dark purple. Colors like that will definitely work for this. So I have my little tree and I have my little grass. So let's draw some flowers now. I want to scratch some flowers. So I'm going to do that by just drawing a little line straight down. And then I'm going to give me some petals by drawing like a little heart. And then I'm just going to draw the top of a couple of different flowers. And remember, you don't have to scratch what I'm scratching. Whatever it is that you want to scratch into your picture, I'm sure will be beautiful, and I would love to see pictures. So I'm just going to alternate. I think that these are like little tulips, and I think that these are like little daisies. So I'll do tulip, daisy, tulip, daisy. I love it. And right here, I'm going to do a little bush. And I'm just going to do how I did the tree with the little squiggly lines going around. I'm going to do that same thing. And then I'm going to do little circles all over like I have little berries on my bush. I'm not sure what color this is. This looks like a little yellowish, greenish, bluish color. So I guess these can be like blueberries that aren't ready to be picked yet. And let's do a little sunshine up in the sky. I'm going to do just like a little curve going across my page over here. And I'm going to scratch that. Scratch that all the way in. I just think this is so cool. And let me give my little sun, whoops, I gotta finish closing the sun right here. And I'm gonna give my sun some little sun rays, little sunbeams, by just drawing lines that are different lengths. And then I'm gonna give me some clouds. My clouds are different colors, which is cool. And maybe some birds. Let me do some birds. And I'm just gonna do like little M's for my birds. And maybe a little butterfly. I'm gonna just draw a long oval. And I'm gonna do some wings. This isn't a very pretty butterfly, but it's okay. Let me scratch in the wings and give it a little bit more character, make it a little prettier. Okay, and I think that we are all done. So this is what my little scratch art picture looks like. You can't see the colors too well right here, but I'm going to post a picture in the comments so that you guys are able to see the colors closer, because it's really, really pretty in person, and I want you guys to get, you know, a little bit better effect. So I'm gonna take a picture and post it in the comments below. But I hope you guys had fun doing this with me. It's a really cute craft activity, and it's super easy to do. The hardest part is just waiting for the paint to dry. But I had fun, and thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you check back in every day. We have super fun activities planned for you guys here at Get Your Play Online, and we love being able to serve you guys and bring you guys the joy of fun and play. So thank you so much for watching. If you did the activity or you're going to do it, make sure you send us pictures, and I look forward to joining you guys next time. Thank you for coming. See you next time, friends. Have a great day.